Hey everyone. Hope everyone's doing happy. Hope you're all are doing safe, doing well, and just doing overall good. Okay. This is my TV review of the series Renegade Now. Now, the first season dropped over on Disney Plus. It is around 8 episodes long, with each episode lasting around an hour long. Now, before I get into this review, I am going to put a spoiler warning up because I do not want you spoiled for this. Okay. I do not want you spoiled in any way, shape, or form. So if you have not seen the series Renegade Now over on Disney Plus, please know there will be spoilers in this review, perhaps huge spoilers in this review. So please, if you don't want to be spoiled, please go and watch another video or go watch Renegade Now, then come back, whatever. But spoilers from this moment on. So five, four, three, two, one. Okay, you've been warned. So let's start with the basics of this show. So this show is called Renegade Now. It dropped on Disney Plus on March 20th of 2024. All 8 episodes of season one dropped at once. So they are all on Disney Plus as of right now. Okay. Each episode lasts around an hour. Some are around 45 minutes. That's without commercials. Some are around 45 minutes without commercials. Some are 50 minutes without commercials. Okay. So with commercials, you're probably looking at a little bit longer, but about an hour in length for each episode. Okay. And we are going to look at the cast and crew here. And we've got Louisa Hartland as Nell Jackson. We got Frank Delane as Charles Devereaux. We've got Alice Krimberg as Sophia Wilmot. We've got Eno Orocono as Rosalius. We've got Bo Bergenson as Roxy Jackson. We got Florence Keene as George Jackson. We've got Nick Mohammed as Billy Butland. We've got Adrian Lester as Robert Hennessy. We've got Jake Dunn as Thomas Blanchford, and we got Pip Torrens as Lord Blanchford. We've got Jolie Richardson as Lady Morganhanger, and we've got Craig Parkinson as Sam Trotter, and we've got Jodie May as Queen Anne. So that is the overall cast of Renegade Now. Okay. So what is the story about? So basically, the story is about this woman who, by account, she is living in 1706 Great Britain. Okay. This is pre-Revolutionary War Britain, before the American Revolution. Okay. And she is returning home and she finds out that with the help of a spirit named Billy Blind, that she has powers. Okay. That she has enhanced strength, enhanced all her abilities are enhanced. All her natural abilities are enhanced. But she also has an enhanced fighting ability as well. Okay. And this is shown in the very first episode. Okay. This is shown in the very first episode. When she returns home, everyone thinks she's dead, and after some convincing, she's allowed to stay in her little town. Okay. Along comes Thomas Blanchard. Now, Thomas Blanchard is the son of the magistrate, and he basically is someone who doesn't abide by the law, who daddy covers up for all that. Okay. After an argument, Nell beats him up. Okay. She basically beats up Thomas Blanchard. Okay. She shows him who's boss with the help of Billy Blind. Now, Nell is the only one who can see Billy Blind. Okay. No one else can see him. Only she can. Afterwards, Thomas Blanchard goes and kills Nell's father. And when Nell goes to confront Thomas, he shoots his father and blames Nell for it. Now, he's got a sister named Sophia Wilmot who goes along with it. Okay. So Nell, her sister Roxy, and George have to go on the run. Okay. They are now wanted outlaws in the murder of the magistrate Blanchard. Okay. That would be Lord Blanchard. And basically, they're going on the run. Okay. Along the way, they meet a man named Charles Devereaux, who is also an outlaw. Okay. And in the process of all this, Nell is not only coming to terms with Billy Blind. Okay, she's trying to find a way to prove her innocence while being hunted by bounty hunters. And then towards the end of the season, we see her come into contact with a plot to overthrow the queen, and she has to stop this plot from going forward. Okay, and this plot is orchestrated by Robert Hennessy, the Earl of Poynton. Okay, who is a Jacobite, who does not believe that Queen Anne is the rightful queen of Great Britain. Okay, so that's the overall like story of season one of Renegade Now. So let me start with what I did like. Okay, so I like the overall setting. Okay, I thought having this show set in pre-Revolutionary War America was great. Okay, it really felt like you had gone back to that time. Okay, the time frame is 1706, so you're talking around 70 years before the Declaration of Independence. Okay, in America, this is taking place in Britain, and people still view going over to the colonies as becoming second-class citizens. Okay, that's still going on. All right, and all that's going on. So the setting was really interesting. I honestly felt like it was a mix of a superhero show with Nell Jackson getting her powers and all that. Then you've got the outlaw show where she has to become an outlaw, and then you've got the whole element of trying to prove her innocence. And then later on in the season, you really get into the magic and the politics of what's going on during this time with Robert Hennessy, Earl of Poynton. Okay. So it's got like four different types of shows in it. You've got a superhero show, you've got a Robin Hood S type show, you've got historical drama, and you've got a conspiracy show, all rolled into one. And I really did enjoy it. And I really felt it was a good mix of all of these shows. Let me say this now. I liked all the characters overall. Okay. I thought the actors did a good job portraying the characters. Okay. Nell Jackson, a woman who disguised herself as a man to go off to war, comes back with powers. Just all that. Okay. I thought the characters were really interesting. There were a few exceptions though. Two of the exceptions right off the bat are Charles Devereaux and Thomas Blanchford. And there is a third. And fortunately, she's not really introduced till later on in the season, and her name is Polly Honeycomb. Okay. But that's one of the things that's going to get me later on of what I did not like about the series is some of the things that were put into it. But back to what I was saying, I did not like Charles Devereaux and I did not like Thomas Blanchard. Okay. I just did not like these characters. Okay. I felt that these characters were made extremely weak. Okay. Some of the decisions they made did not make sense. Some of the things they did not make sense, especially with Polly, okay? And sometimes, okay, especially this happened especially with Polly. I felt that with Polly, especially, that they made decisions that honestly and truly did not make sense, and somehow they came through it on the other side, okay? And I did not really understand why they made that choice and how they came through it, okay? So, yeah, like I liked all the characters except for three. And that was Charles Devereaux, Thomas Blanchford, and Polly Honeycomb. Especially Polly. Whenever she was on screen, I just rolled my eyes, okay? Because I did not like this character, okay? I felt this character was kind of forced into this show, okay? When it didn't need to be, okay? So let me now focus on what I didn't like, okay? First off, I did not like the story. Okay. And that's not to say the story was bad. My problem with the story is that it goes too fast. And we still don't have answers to many questions that were put forth. Okay. We still don't know why Billy Blind is working with Nell. Neither one of them know why. It just happened one day. Okay. It literally just happened one day. And suddenly, by 8 episodes, Nell goes from being a soldier dressed as a guy to an outlaw to basically saving the entirety of the royal family in England. Okay, she goes up against people who use magic. She goes up against magic knights, all that. And the story goes extremely fast, okay, in terms of what's going on in the story. You've got Nell and her thing with Billy Blind going on. You've got the overall story of Nell trying to clear herself. Then you've got the secondary story of basically Nell trying to save Great Britain. And then you've got what's going on with the Earl of Hennessy, Robert Hennessy. He's the Earl of Poynton, and what's going on with him and the dark magic. And then you've got Roxy, and she's got two different storylines going on, where she's getting a relationship with Rosalius. At the same time, she's slowly starting to discover that maybe she knows magic or somehow has some affinity for magic. Okay, you've got that going on. So yeah, like the stories, I mean, it felt like they were going too fast. We did not get the answers we should have gotten at the end of it. Okay, don't get me wrong, we get answers at the end of it, but and I get they were trying to leave stuff open for a season two. Okay, I understand that. Okay, it just felt like the answers we should have gotten by the end of the season we didn't get. Okay, and the way the show ended, okay, and I say ended, I mean the season. The way it ended, I did not like. Okay, it was totally out of character for Nell. Okay, after everything Sophia and Thomas had put her through. Okay, now not only risks Billy Blind by saving Thomas, she then goes and just lets Sophia and Thomas run off and be outlaws themselves. Okay, after everything Sophia has done, after everything Sophia has let herself get involved with, Nell just lets her go off and go out and be a problem for someone else, or come back and be a problem for her and her family. Another thing is, I really don't see what the point of having George in the story was. Okay, George is a young girl. I get that. Okay, and maybe she really didn't have much of a story, but that's the point. Okay, is that she did not really grow throughout this series. Roxy grew, Nell grew, Sophia grew somehow, Thomas, all of them grew somehow. Okay, except George. I felt George, even though she is a young girl, she just stagnated. Okay, she was just there. Okay, and I did not like that. Okay, so yeah, while overall the idea and the premise of the story is good, it just went too fast and there was too much stuff. Okay, and there were whole episodes where it didn't even focus on the main story. It focused on Roxy and Rosalius and Charles Devereaux and stuff. And it just felt like they were throwing everything they could to see what stuck. And they were going so fast that you wouldn't notice. Okay. So yeah, the story goes by really fast. There are a couple filler episodes, what I call filler episodes, that really don't make much sense to the overall story, but yeah, like it goes really fast, really, really fast. And I didn't like that. I thought if they had maybe a couple more episodes to work with, they could have given these time to breathe more. Okay. They could have given things time to breathe more. Okay. But yeah, it went way too fast for my liking. Now here's the biggie. And I know I'm gonna make some people mad with saying this, okay? This show literally slaps you in the face with the message, okay? And that message is men should be weak, women should be strong, and if you disagree with it, you are evil, okay? Prime example of this. Every single woman on this show is strong in some way, shape, or form. And almost every man in this show is weak. Charles Devereaux is weak. Thomas Blanchford is weak. Lord Blanchford is weak. Okay, they're all weak or underlings to women in some way, shape, or form. Okay, some way, shape, or form. This is going on, and the epitome of this. Okay, and honestly felt like they just rammed her in there just so they could say, "Oh, we did this." Okay, was Polly Honeycomb. Okay. She is robbed by Nell. she at first runs off with a man who later she figures out she does not love anymore because he's not providing her with excitement. Okay, then she starts figuring it. Well, by figuring out, I mean thinking that she's in love with Nell. Okay, and then somehow, some way, towards the end of the series, she replaces a male editor at a newspaper, even though she's never run a newspaper. All she does is able to write really well. Okay. That's all she's able to do. The woman who runs the newspaper hires her and kicks out the old editor. All right. And just all that. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? You know, I could have looked over Charles Devereaux and I could have looked over Thomas Blanchard. Okay, but Polly Honeycomb was like the epitome of having the message slapped in my face. Okay. And I rolled my eyes every time she was on screen. I absolutely hated she was on screen. Okay. Because I honestly felt like it was forced. Okay. There was better. Either they ran out of ideas or they didn't know where to go next. So they used Polly and just rammed her in there. That's literally what I feel like. Okay. The show would have been so much better without her. And it ain't the actress's fault. The actress probably did the best she could. Okay. It's just how the character was written, how the lines were. Okay. It's just that simple in terms of the message. And it really brought down the show. I mean, any other time, okay, this show would have been rated higher. But because of that alone, it's going to be rated lower. Now, let me say this, okay? Let me just say this right now. Not every single man on this show is weak. Robert Hennessy, played by Adrian Lester, great character, great villain, okay? Using Thomas to get what he wants, then using Sophia to get what he wants, okay? So yeah, like great character. Okay, Rosalius, another great character. Okay, a former slave who is stole into the slave trade. Okay, he's been a slave since he was a young boy. That when Nell gives him his freedom and basically says, "Hey, go on, go on your own way," he doesn't know where to go. He stays with Nell, and him and Roxy strike up a friendship and then a relationship. Okay, well, the beginnings of a relationship. So yeah, like those two men are great characters. It's every other man on this show is put down or made weak, full on put down or made weak, and I absolutely hated that. Okay, this show would have been better if Nell had had men who were on her level. I'm not saying have her powers, but just on her level in terms of intellect and attitude and fight, maybe even has seen more combat than her, okay? Done things that she never could, okay? Basically, all right? Whereas she can do all these special things, maybe he has experience. So yeah, I've really felt that them ramming the message, that DEI nonsense, down our throats with this show really brought it down, okay? I absolutely hated that, okay? Especially with Polly Honeycomb. And I'm not blaming the actress, okay? I'm pretty sure the actress is a great actress, okay? I am in no way blaming her. It's the character, okay? I really felt they rammed that sort of character into the show just so they can say, oh, we've got this type of character in this show, okay? Basically, that's the way I feel, okay? And I mean, this show, any other time, I could have forgiven like Charles Devereaux and Thomas Blanchard. Okay, I literally could, but the whole Polly Honeycomb thing, no, I can't forgive that. Okay, I mean, I literally can't forgive that because I literally rolled my eyes every time she was on screen. So, in closing, what score do I give Renegade now? Normally, I would give this type of show a 6 or a 7, an 8 at most. Okay, based on the characters, based on the content of the story, based on what they were trying to do, the premise, the setting, all that. But there are two big problems. Okay, the first one is the wokeness of it, and I hate to say that they literally made almost every guy in this show weak compared to the women. Okay. They literally did that. Okay. They literally made all the women strong characters. I think the exception would be George. Okay. George and Polly. But they literally almost made all the women strong female characters. And they made the men, except for two, these weak men. Okay. And that was one thing that kind of got me. Okay. The other thing was the overall pacing of the story. Okay. I like the content of the story. I like what they were trying to do. They were trying to mix a whole bunch of things together. They were trying to mix magic and pixies and fairies and being an outlaw and trying to prove your innocence and superheroes and all that stuff. Okay. They were trying to mix all that together into a historical drama. I can totally dig that. Okay. But the overall pacing of the story, the way they did things, I did not like. Okay. There were times where they were taking shortcuts that shouldn't have been taken. Okay. Times where, I don't know, maybe they just ran out of ideas and they just said, okay, we're going to do this. Okay. I mean, some of the decisions they made with the overall pacing of the story, I did not like. Okay. I mean, there was one arc where you had Nell trying to clear her name. I get that. And then towards the end, you had this arc about the queen trying to stop an overthrow of her government. And then in the middle, you had this mini arc of Thomas coming to terms with what he had done and Sophia gaining power, and then you also had Robert Hennessy doing his thing, and you had this love story going on with Roxy and Rosalius, and then you had somewhere in the middle Roxy starting to discover that maybe she can do magic. I mean, just all these different things. Okay, felt like it was too just jumbled together. Okay, that's the feeling I overall got from it. Okay. So what score do I give Renegade now? What score do I give Renegade now? Out of a score of 1 to 10, where 1 being the absolute worst and 10 being the absolute best, I'm giving this a 4. This is maybe a viewing you would do when you have nothing else to watch. Okay. If maybe you got like a lazy Saturday, lazy Sunday, there's nothing to do, and you're just scrolling through TV and you come upon this, it will satisfy you for 1 day. Okay. If you can get over all the nonsense, the stuff with Polly and the weak men and all that. Okay. It will satisfy you for maybe one Saturday and that's it. Okay. That's basically it. I mean, they're 8 episodes long. Each episode is about an hour long. So it will satisfy you for maybe 1 day. All right. This is not something you're going to come back to unless they do a season two. And I think there is enough here to warrant a season two. Okay. I do believe that. But they gotta change some things in here. Okay. We gotta see less of Polly. Okay. We have to know what's going on with Roxy. Okay. They cannot have all the men be weak men in this series. Okay. Nell has to have a counterpart who's a guy who's just as strong as she is. I'm not saying he has to be a villain, but he has to kind of be her counter. You know what I'm saying? Whereas she goes in guns blazing, ready to kick everyone's butt at a moment's notice. This guy's got to be smart, intelligent, calm, thinking things out and stuff. Okay, and I think there needs to be some questions answered about what's going on with her and Billy Blind and why they are brought together. What brought them together? Okay, and why are they doing what they're doing? We got hints of it in this series. Okay, that they know they're supposed to do something great, maybe perhaps bring out some great change. But as far as like, what change they're supposed to bring out, how they're supposed to bring it out, I think that we need more information about that. So yeah, I think there is enough here to warrant a season two, and more than likely, I will watch the last episode of this season if there is a season two. Okay, but as far as score goes, I give this a 4 between 1 and 10, where 10 being the absolute best. I give this a 4. This is something you watch on a lazy Saturday when you have nothing else to watch. Anyway, that's my score for Renegade now. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope it helps you make a decision of whether or not to check it out when you got time or whatnot. Check out my other videos and my social media at the end of this video. I will see you guys in the next video and in the next stream. Laters.